In our previous lesson, we talked about the workspaces. Now I only want to talk about the menu, about the Photoshop menu. I do not want to explain every option into detail. I rather want to show you guys why we have the menu and what is available in the menu. All right, let's move all the way to the top. Here you guys can see this white line with a few options. This is the menu, pretty much as with every program. All right, so let's go right away to Photoshop CC, and you'll see some texts here are dark and some are grayed out. So this means this is available, all the dark ones, and the grayed out are not available right now. They are available if you have selected a canvas or a certain layer, and sometimes the options are just not available because you haven't selected the right layer. If you have selected the right layer, these options will get available. All right, so let's have a look here also. You can see there's a ton of options here that are grayed out because currently we have nothing open and we have no layer selected whatsoever. But that is fine. For now, we don't need to worry about that. I just want to talk roughly about all the sections. So let's start right away with Photoshop CC. Photoshop CC, it's all about the software again. Like you can see, about, preferences, service, and quit Photoshop or even hide. One more thing to mention in here right now is the preferences. If you are completely new to Photoshop, you do not need to play around in here. It's maybe something for the future. But for now, it's just good to know that your preferences are all set in here. And if you need to change something because you don't have performance or something, you'll need to go to performance and change it here. Or if something with file handling does not work on your side, Google about it. Google about what software you have and also what version of Photoshop, and then add your specifications in here. But for now, it's just good to know that the general preferences are here. And when you're a beginner, you don't need to worry about this interface at all. Okay. Let's go back to File. I also, like I said, I don't want to go through every single option. It's obviously self-explanatory. You just need to read what's on here. Basically, under File, you can again create new canvases and do a lot of things with canvases or individual layers. Also, quickly want to go to Automate, Batch Process, again with a few layers, create a PDF presentation, lens correction, merging to HDR, or even contact sheets. That's all available also under here. Like I said, I'm not going to talk in detail about every option here. Throughout the course, we'll often go to the menu and work with it. And then through that, you will learn the menu in and out. Because at the beginning, it's not really necessary to know every single button in Photoshop. If we go to Edit, you guys can see this has a lot to do with current layers. If you want to copy, paste, fade, align layers, blend layers, or do something certain with this. Also, one more thing down here, color settings, keyboard shortcuts, menu, and toolbar. So these 4 options are also pretty interesting, also assigning profiles. More about that later in the course. And after this lesson, I still want to touch base quickly with the menu option down here. Let's head over to Image. Again, Image has everything to do also with layers again. What type of mode are you currently working on? What is your image size, the canvas size, if you want to rotate, if you want to crop, trim. Some of these tools that are in here are also available from the toolbox on the left-hand side, but often it's a kind of a preference wherever you're going to go to the toolbox or into the menu bar. All right, so again, like you can read here are also a few more options that you can use on your individual layers. Now, let's head also back to layers itself. This has to do more with the layers in the layer palette that you'll have later here. Say, for instance, you want to fill a certain layer, you can also do this option from here. You want to create a layer mask, you can do this option from here. Or if you're going to group layers, ungroup layers, lock layers, link layers, merge layers. So every option is also available in here. But remember, Photoshop has many different ways of how you can work. You can either just work with Photoshop shortcuts, with the keyboard shortcuts. You can either work just here on the right-hand side with right-click, or you can work from the top menu bar, or again, you can also work from the toolbar. I'm dedicating another whole lesson just on that in the future on this course here. It might come in one of the next few lessons. So there are a few ways how to work with Photoshop. So it's not important to always know that which buttons are all in here. Let's also go to type. Again, type extruding for 3D or create a work path, convert to a shape, rasterize type layers, everything that has to do with the type layers as well. Then under select, everything that you're doing with marking tool and big selections in Photoshop. In Photoshop, you are mostly working with selections and cutting things out, copy pasting, adding selections then come in really, really handy. So a lot of selections, it's good to know that a few options are here, like deselect, select, inverse your selection, find other layers, or the color range of the layers, or even modifying your selection, transforming, load, and save. A lot of different options. Like I said, throughout the course, we'll work a lot with the menu and you'll get to learn it even better. Under filter, again, it's a whole filter library here from effects on Photoshop. So you can apply certain effects and filters to your images right away. It obviously says already filters. Again, you can also work with blur, distort, noise, sharpen, video effects. Down here, we also have plugins. These you will not have. I added plugins into Photoshop. So these are external plugins from other softwares and they are not included into Photoshop. You need to buy those and install them into Photoshop separately. But again, showing you guys a whole filter library here. 3D, obviously, everything that has to do with creating 3D shapes, extrusion, anything that you want to do, layers, it's all under the 3D tab over here. This is a complete new section to CC and also CS6, and it goes way deeper into animation and stuff. So if you're into this, yeah, you can work in here. For photographers, it's not so necessary right now. Under view again, you obviously have everything that has to do with your canvas. So zooming in, zooming out, fit to screen, screen mode currently, what do you want to show on there. Also rulers, so you can see the rulers here. Currently we don't have rulers because we don't have a canvas, right? So rulers over here, lock guides, clear guides, you can create new guides, lock slices. So a lot of few options again in here. Under window, we also worked with that in the few lessons now. Window, you'll find again everything that has to do with your layout and interface of Photoshop. So like adjustment layers, or you want to have now, say for instance, the color palette, then you select the color, and over here you have a new panel again. So window, whatever you see on your interface will be under window. You can also choose your workspaces here again, in case you lost this application, extra extensions, if you have some, yeah. So basically a few more options with this. And under help again, you can also find what's new, updates, you can read up on online help, or you can even search here with your question as well. Or some other things like signing in and signing out of your cloud-based. Okay, so that's basically a quick run through of the menu here. We haven't covered about 90% not from this. But anyways, let's also go all the way back to edit and go to the keyboard shortcuts. So first of all, I have also added a PDF file into this whole course where you can learn about all the Photoshop shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts. You can read up on those and maybe slowly start learning them because they are coming in really handy and you just work quicker when you know them. Now, if you want to create your own, you should go in here to the keyboard shortcut, application menu, panel menu, or your tools. Say for instance, we're going to start out with tools because it's easier. You can see the move tool. It's a V. So if you click on this and change it to your own preference, you can do so. Change it over here. The same goes for the panel menus, whatever you have here on the right hand side, or again, application menu right in the top. Again, if you see it over here, general, say for instance, if we are going to look for copy paste, which should be under edit and copy. So go to edit over here and copy should be somewhere over here. So Command plus C is copy for the Mac users. For Windows, it will most probably be Control plus C. And if you want to change it, you can literally just change it over here. One more thing, I have never changed my shortcuts because I don't believe in that. I stick with the Photoshop shortcuts that Photoshop gives one because they are very good already. Let's head back here to menus. It's also under edit, the menus over here. So basically application menu or panel menus as well. So say for instance here, let's go to brushes. You have a few brushes over here and you can also now change off the visibility or not. Let me actually show this to you guys under the application menu. So say for instance here under file, we have new right now. If I'm going to open file here, I can now see that file here in my menu is already red highlighted and it's visible. First of all, I can change this to none. So now it will change once I hit OK. And I also turn off the visibility. Let's hit OK. If I go now to file, you will see that that is gone, the new. So I don't have new anymore in here and it's not red. Let's go back to edit, menus, and turn this on again. and keep it to none. Hit OK again. Go back to edit, file, and there we have new again. So you can also clean out your menu if you like to and erase a few options that you never use in order to make Photoshop simpler in order to work quicker. The only thing that I do is actually not turning off the visibility. I tend to add colors to certain things. So something like new will get a red. And say for instance something like under filters, I work a lot with liquify. This should be maybe blue. Then also I work a lot with select, modify. So I'm going to search for select over here. Go all the way down and find modify. There we go, modify, and change this also to an orange. And once I've done all of my steps here, all of the important things that I need to do, I'm going to hit OK. And right away it will be accepted. Again, under file, new, you can see the color is also changed in here. If I go to select, modify, it changed already. If I go to filter, liquify, it has changed the color. So this helps me when I work later in Photoshop and I quickly need to go to liquify. I can just go up filter. I don't need to read, oh, the blue one, select, and great, I have my tool. So this really helps me to just speed up on my current Photoshop workflow. This is not so important when you're starting out, but once you have established a good working base with Photoshop, I would go in and change this and customize this to your own preference. Great. So once you have all of that, remember again, when you also save your workspace, include the menu. So when you go to this workspace, your colors in the menu and your options will all be available. Okay. So that was basically all just about the menu, a quick run through, and not at all discussed all the elements. It was about maybe 10% from everything that we have here in our menu. I don't want to go step by step through this and bore you. Throughout the course, we'll use this quite a lot and you'll get to know the menu as well.